Busi ya Mheshimiwa Spika, tunaona vile vile lazima sekta hiyo iweze kupewa fedha za kutosha ili masuala ya ardhi katika kaunti yaweze kushughulikiwa. Na iwapo haya yote lazima yatekelezwe, Mheshimiwa Spika, ni lazima tuongeze kimo ama fedha ambazo zinaenda katika kaunti zetu. Wiki iliyopita, Mheshimiwa Spika, nilikuwa na kamati ya ukulima, uchumi samawati na ufugaji katika kaunti ya Bungoma. Mheshimiwa Spika, kulikuwa na ari ama moyo kwa wakulima wa kahawa waweze kupata ardhi ya kuzindua taasisi ya utafiti, waweze kuwa na maabara ya kutafiti aina na ubora wa kahawa. Mheshimiwa Spika, lakini hivi vyote iwapo tunataka vitekelezwe, lazima bajeti zinazoenda katika kaunti zetu ziweze kuimarika. Wakulima wa maziwa, Mheshimiwa Spika, kule kwetu wanauza lita kwa shilingi 35, na katika maeneo mengine nchini, Mheshimiwa Spika, wanauza kwa shilingi 50. Kile tunasema ni lazima fedha ziongezwe katika makadirio ya bajeti ili magavana waweze kuwajibika kwa fedha ambazo wako nazo, na Wakenya waweze kuandama fedha hizi kuhakikisha kwamba zinatekeleza majukumu yao. Kule Bungoma, Mheshimiwa Spika, serikali imezindua baadhi ya soko pale Bukembe, ukija Misihu, ukienda Webuye, ukienda Cheptonon, ukienda Misihu, ukienda mji mkuu wa Bungoma. Mheshimiwa Spika, ni baadhi ya soko ambazo serikali imeweka kandarasi ili watu wachukue zabuni na kujenga. Lakini itakuwaje kwamba serikali ya kitaifa inataka kufanya kazi ya kaunti ambazo zilipigiwa kura na magavana ambao wako na wajibu wa kujenga soko? Sisi tunashukuru serikali imeanzisha mchakato wa kujenga soko, lakini sasa tunataka tunaposonga mbele bajeti ziwekwe katika kaunti zetu ili magavana na mawaziri wao wapange na viongozi wa wadi waweze kufanya kile tunasema kudhibiti na kuchunga jinsi fedha hizi zinavyotumika. Mheshimiwa Spika, ndio kwa sababu mimi nasema jumba la kitaifa wana fedha ambazo naona wanaparamia, wanataka zidhibitiwe katika mikoba yao. Ni sawa, lakini sisi kama maseneta lazima tuhakikishe kwamba Wakenya ambao kila mara wanakamuliwa kwa ushuru wao lazima tuwafanyie kazi. Sekta ya maji, Mheshimiwa Spika, ukienda katika maeneo ambayo yana ukame, wana shida ya maji. Maji yamegatuliwa, lazima wawe na mitambo na mashine ya kuchimba maji ili kina mama katika pembe mbalimbali waweze kujinufaisha. Ukienda katika sekta ya vyuo anuwai na shule za chekechea, Mheshimiwa Spika, utagundua kwamba baadhi ya maeneo ni vyumba peke yake vimejengwa, hakuna vifaa vya kutosha, hakuna vyakula ambavyo vina virutubishi vya kuinua afya ya watoto, na hakuna walimu wa kutosha wa kufunza watoto hawa. Itawezekanaje kaunti zitekeleze majukumu yao haya pasipo kuwa na pesa za kutosha ili kuhakikisha watoto wanapoanza kwenda shule wanapata nafasi sawa na watoto wa mabwenyenye na matajiri ambao shule zao za chekechea wanaenda kwa magari, wanakunywa maziwa ambayo yako katika chupa zile zilizoundwa sawa sawa, wanabembelezwa na kuimbiwa nyimbo za kulala, ile hali watoto wa mashinani, Mheshimiwa Spika, wanakung'utwa na mbu pasipo wao kuwa na chochote katika tumbo zao. Ndio kwa sababu mimi ninaomba, Mheshimiwa Spika, tunapokata kauli.
Seneta Wakoli, kiongozi wa wachache.
Asante bwana. Asante bwana Spika. Sijui kama bwana Spika umesikia ndugu yetu Wakoli akisema kwamba kuna wale ambao watoto wao wanakunywa zile chupa za kawaida, na alafu kuna wale watoto wa mabwenyenye wanaokunywa na zile chupa zilizoumbwa ama zilizotengenezwa kisawa sawa. Sijui kama kuna chupa za aina hiyo katika watoto wadogo wakiwa wanaweza wanafyonza ama wananyonya hizo chupa ama wanafanya namna gani? Sijui angeweza kutueleza zaidi.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika. Naheshimu uwezo na tajriba ya seneta ambaye ameniuliza swali. Lakini Wakenya wanaponitazama sasa wanaelewa fika kwamba baadhi ya kaunti watoto huona maziwa kwa vyombo vya habari. Watoto huona maziwa huenda mbuzi anaponyonya mwana, mbuzi anaponyonya mamake. Sasa mambo ya chupa, Mheshimiwa Spika, yasiwe yale ya muhimu sana. Cha muhimu angalau mmoja anakunywa maziwa kwa chupa ya kawaida na mwingine anakunywa chupa katika maziwa katika vijikombe vya kimabati hivi. Mheshimiwa Spika, cha muhimu nataka nirejelee katika hoja, Mheshimiwa Spika, kwamba ugatuzi uliletwa katika nchi ya Kenya kusawazisha maisha ya Wakenya na kuwaweka katika baraste iliyo sawa. Vyuo anuwai na vyuo vya chekechea lazima vile vile kuwa na maabara, kuwa na walimu wa kutosha, kuwa na mashini na mitambo ya utafiti ya kutosha, ili watoto wanapotoka Bungoma, wanapotoka Marsabit, wanapotoka Kisumu, wanapokutana katika uwanja wa kutafuta kazi, wote wako sawa, kwa sababu ugatuzi uliwatendea wema wote pasipo kunyimwa haki kikatiba. Ndio kwa sababu mimi naungana na maseneta wengine na kusema kwamba wakati umefika magatuzi yapewe pesa za kutosha, na tunapowapa pesa sisi sasa tutawaandama katika miradi ya maendeleo, tuhakikishe kwamba fedha zinazowekwa kwa miradi hii inaenda sambamba na yale tunaona kihalisia kwa macho mashinani. Kwa sababu Mheshimiwa Spika, nimegundua hivi kwamba kuna ng'ombe wa kiuchumi ni miradi gushi, miradi hewa. Yaani wanaweka mamilioni, kumbe chini ya mamilioni haya kuna wale wanakamulia chini kama wanakandarasi. Lazima Wakenya wawe macho kuhakikisha kwamba miradi inayotekelezwa inaafiki matarajio yao na wanahusisha umma, kwa kimombo wanasema public participation, ili miradi iafiki matarajio ya wale wahusika ambao watanufaika na miradi hii. Sasa katika mapana na marefu falsafa ya serikali, mimi naomba kwamba jumba la Senate lisimame wima, lisimame tisti, lisiyumbishwe, lisipigiwe simu kutoka kwingine. Tuamue jinsi tumeamua sasa, tutetee magatuzi yetu, na hizi pesa zinapoenda chini, Mheshimiwa Spika, zikienda mashinani, vijana wengi mitandaoni hawana kazi. Na mimi naomba Senate pia wachangamkia wa magavana. Kandarasi na kazi zinazopewa kule mashinani, baadhi ya makampuni zinazopewa ni makampuni ambayo yameandaliwa kitaaluma Nairobi, ya watu fulani Nairobi, kunyima vijana wa mashinani kazi. Lazima tumulike hapo, tujue 30% wanasema iwe watu wenyeji ama 70 ya wenyeji. Lakini ukimulika sana baadhi ya wanakandarasi hao, wengine sio wenyeji, lakini ni wale wanasema briefcase, mabegi ya wanakandarasi ambao wananyonya na kufyonza jasho za watu wa county, na lazima pia wao tuwaandame ili ugatuzi uweze kuafiki malengo ya waasisi wa ugatuzi. Asante Mheshimiwa Spika.
Salama. Senator Beatrice Akinyi.
Honorable Speaker, I thank you, Honorable Speaker, for granting me this opportunity. And from the word onset, Honorable Speaker, I want to support the report on the Division of Revenue Bill 2025. Honorable Speaker, the Constitution talks about 2 levels of government. 1, the national government, and 47 county governments. And these governments, county governments, Honorable Speaker, are referred to as distinct, with constitutional mandates that must be carried out, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, from the word go, we would like to tell Kenyans and anybody who cares to listen that Kenyans are one, and there are no Kenyans that we can classify as belonging to the national government and others belonging to the county government. Honorable Speaker, that is why revenue that is shared between the 2 levels of government must be done in such a way that the other levels of government, which are 47, are able to operate because they have functions that have been provided to them by Kenyans, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to laud one outstanding personality in this republic, one Raila Amolo Odinga. And I'm happy that the former Prime Minister is going to come to the Senate tomorrow and address senators here, Honorable Speaker. Senator Nyamu seems to be surprised. Senator, you need to be prepared tomorrow that the father of devolution is going to be at the Senate, and we'll be ready to listen to his words of wisdom. He's a man that has been firm, that he believes in devolution, and he has supported devolution since then, and he continues to support, Honorable Speaker. The former Prime Minister stands with the tenets of devolution even when a number of people are not happy about it, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, coming back to the report that I rise to support, the report talks about the projected revenue collection for the year 2025-2026. And Honorable Speaker, there is a proposed county government's equitable share of 409 billion, which represents, according to this document, 14.28%, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, that is in itself below the constitutional mandates that talks about not less than 15%. So, Honorable Speaker, why would we be talking about 14.28%? And Honorable Speaker, to support a few speakers that have been on the floor, that the Constitution talks about not less than. It means that the county governments could be given up to 35% that a number of us have been talking about, or even more, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the county governments have constitutional mandates, and some of these services are in dire need with our people, Honorable Speaker. And that is why we are saying, Honorable Speaker, that I support this report that the county governments needs to be given not less than 465 billion for the year 2025-2026, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, let's just refer back to some of the functions that the county government undertake. We have a key component of services in the roads department. Although this service is shared, Honorable Speaker, we have even a classification of roads referred to as county roads and national roads. Honorable Speaker, if the counties are not given adequate funding, how will the counties open up and make county roads motorable? Honorable Speaker, let us reflect back to our counties. I come from a constituency called Ndewa in Homa Bay County. Honorable Speaker, in Ndewa sub-county, if today you travel beyond the one tarmac road that comes from Rodikopany to Sori, it is just a road that goes through that constituency. Basically, we have no roads in that constituency. And part of our hope is that roads that are classified as county roads would be opened up, would be marramed, would be made motorable. Today, Honorable Speaker, we have a road that passes through Ndewa, from the Ndewa Low Courts. It's called the Gaena, it is called Ndewa Gaena Sidede Road. Honorable Speaker, it is a key road in that constituency and in my ward. Honorable Speaker, you cannot even use any means of transport other than going on foot to use that road. In my constituency, Honorable Speaker, we have a pathetic state where when we have funerals, Honorable Speaker, we have a constituency where now we are carrying dead bodies in coffins on our head, something that people left over 30 years ago, Honorable Speaker. And it is based on that we call that the county governments must be given adequate funds that would help them to open roads, to maram them, and to make them motorable. Honorable Speaker, roads are enablers for our economies. Our people are struggling, be they farmers or business people, Honorable Speaker. But because of lack of access, the cost of doing business, even the cost of transporting their farm produce is too high. Honorable Speaker, other than the roads, the county governments have a mandate on water. We are lucky in our counties, and in mine in particular, we have heavy rains now, so our people have the benefit of having water courtesy of rains, Honorable Speaker. But Honorable Speaker, when the rains subsides, and when the dry season comes, Honorable Speaker, water will be a problem wherever we come from. Because the rural areas depend on boreholes, Honorable Speaker, because of climate change, most of the streams that our people traditionally relied on as sources of water have all dried up. So our people have to look for water beyond the required distances worldwide. In my constituency, once more, we had a borehole that was developed by the Lake Victoria South Water Board in Dewa. It broke down a few years ago. Attempts have been made to rehabilitate the water system. So basically in that area, people have no water. Streams have dried up. We don't have boreholes. Our people don't have water. And it is for that reason that we require adequate funding so that our people can have water as provided by the county governments and as provided in Schedule 4, Honorable Speaker. On the same water provisions, Honorable Speaker, we have the urban water systems. But Honorable Speaker, it is important to take note that most of the systems, the infrastructure that was developed in the urban centers that are run by the county water companies, a number of them have old systems that are aged, systems that are dilapidated, and the county governments have no sufficient funds to rehabilitate these systems. So if you go to our urban centers and our municipalities, the people cannot consistently get water because the old systems that are there are consistently breaking down, and so the populations that have increased in those towns are not commensurate to the systems that are there to provide water. And so, Honorable Speaker, we need adequate funding as proposed in this report that I stand here to support. Honorable Speaker, another mandate that the county governments have is in agriculture. But Honorable Speaker, there are no extension services as was envisaged in this sector. The farmers are on their own. The farmers are on their own as they prepare their farms. Honorable Speaker, when we were growing up, there used to be extensions services officers that would ride along in motorbikes across the villages. They prepared our farmers as the planting season came. They were able to advise on which seeds are the farmers could use depending on region to region. They would advise on the soil, the nature of the soil and the nature of seeds that the farmers would use. And Honorable Speaker, in the course of the growth of these plants, the extension service officers would move around the villages advising on the progress of those crops. But today, Honorable Speaker, those services are not there with our farmers. Honorable Speaker, I'm a farmer of maize, and just recently when I was at home, my farm was being attacked by armyworms. There was nobody to advise me, Honorable Speaker, and I remained at the mercy of the rains. I was advised and consoled by my village mates that because of the heavy rains, the army ants would not, the ants would not survive the heavy rains, and so I was consoled. And just as I was advised, the rains washed the ants from my farms. So, Honorable Speaker, were it not for the rains, it means that my farm and all other farms around my environment would have been swept away. Honorable Speaker, there's a real need for county governments to employ extension officers, and not only extension officers, but extension officers adequate in number, adequate in quality, adequate in quantity, that would be able to serve the farmers that we have around. Honorable Speaker, there is also the mandate of health. Health is purely a devolved function. And Honorable Speaker, when I look at the proposed budget, I was just in a training this morning where we were taken by the allocations of this year's budget per sector. And I saw health primarily is maintained as 136 billion from last year and to this year. And Honorable Speaker, the explanation that we're being given is that they are expected donor funds. But Honorable Speaker, you also know the challenges that donor funds are facing. That with the coming of the Trump administration, there was a cut down. There's a proposed cut down of donor funds. And just the other time, we're being taken around immunization financing. And we noted that in a few years to come, we will be on our own as a community, as a country. But Honorable Speaker, these are services that are offered at the county level, and all this is about resources. Honorable Speaker, other services that are also critical are urban services, some like stormwater drainage, and all these require funding. Honorable Speaker, in my own village town, called Ndewa Town yesterday, it rained heavily and half of the town was filled with water because of storm water drainage challenges. Honorable Speaker, I'm giving this because these are services that must be offered by the county government. Other than that, under urban, we have the street lighting, we have solid waste management. And Honorable Speaker, all these services require money. Honorable Speaker, the county governments do not exist at the mercy of anybody. These are governments that are spelled out in the Constitution. And I want to support this report as presented. And Honorable Speaker, we want to say that the county government's allocation must increase as years go. We cannot remain with the same figures, and because the county governments must function and fulfill their services as provided in the fourth schedule. Honorable Speaker, even as we ask for this amount as presented in this report, it is also important to take note that most of these functions we are talking about were never even costed, Honorable Speaker. If we did a costing of the functions, Honorable Speaker, if we did a costing of the services that were given to the county government, we might even find that we are still less with over even 100 billion. And so, Honorable Speaker, I support this report, and I want to say from as I end my presentation, Honorable Speaker, is that the spirit of devolution required that county governments would be able to attract the best skills that we have in the country. It is not as we think that people with more skills should be offering services at a higher level. Honorable Speaker, if the counties are to attract the high skills that we require, they must have funds commensurate to the payment, to the remuneration that these skilled laborers would need. I am praying for a day that the best doctors would be employed even at the health centers and the dispensaries and the level 4 hostels where most of our people go to. And as they are employed there, they would still be paid the higher wages that they required so that they are able to offer services even at the lower level. As against the tradition where you have the highest skills placed in high-level hostels, in private hostels, because that is where they would be able to be given their right remuneration. Honorable Speaker, I'm praying for a day that we'll have the top skilled agricultural officers employed at the ward levels where their skills are needed, where they would be able to advise farmers, where farming takes place. I'm praying, Honorable Speaker, that those best skills can go lower to our people, because that is what devolution was meant to bring. Devolution was not meant to bring services from the national to county and it stops there. Devolution meant that services, resources would move from the national government, go to the county county government headquarters, and go further to the sub-counties and go down to the ward level. So, Honorable Speaker, there are no services that our people get at the national level. At the national level, it is basically coordination of policy, coordination of standards. But, Honorable Speaker, where implementation takes place is down at the ward level. Honorable Speaker, just 2 weeks ago, with the Lands and Environment Committee, we visited Changara Dam in a ward in Busia County, where a proposed dam was funded by a World Bank. Honorable Speaker, it is a pity that we had a closer picture of a dam, something that is not useful to the people of Changara. And Honorable Senator Omtata, I would encourage you to push that agenda so that the people of Changara get services and get what was funded for them. There must be value for money. And Honorable Speaker, sometimes this does not happen because there may not be the right skills down there to supervise for this, for some of these projects. So, Honorable Speaker, I support this project based on the fact that the counties need money to perform some of these functions as given in the Constitution, and these functions are not only limited to roads, health, water, environment.
Senator Beatrice, your time is up, and thank you for your contribution. Senator Okoiti Omtata.
Mr. Speaker, sir, thank you for the opportunity to address this august House. I support the bill in terms of the increased amounts of 645. But, Mr. Speaker, and I'll also pick up from where the Senate has just left off, the question of the water pan in Changara, which was fully funded by the World Bank, and nothing happened. I took action. I got the people together, and we have been able to get the committee of the Senate to go down where Senator Beatrice is a member. They saw for themselves. And if they just walked across the boundary into Bungoma, they would see a sister dam of equal funding which is functioning. In Busia, it never worked, so we hope we shall get to the root of that. But over and above that, the World Bank sent about 200 million shillings to Busia in the past 2 years, 2 budgets. I've done a follow-up. In fact, the group I assigned to do some auditing just finished and gave me a report yesterday. And none of them is functional, but all the money has been depleted. The money is not on account, money has been depleted. And so, in short, I'm just saying that Busia is an economic crime scene that needs serious attention from the Senate. It's a total crime scene. Now, going back to the motion on the floor, the question of division of revenue, I support the figure of 465 billion, 1,459,673 shillings that has been recommended. But that's as far as I support, because it's an increment from on the last. The only reason I'm supporting that figure is that it's an improvement on the last allocation. But I want to go back to the fundamentals of revenue division. And there are 2 things that I would invite the Senate to look at in the law. Of course, we agree that Article 203 of the Constitution is very clear. If you look at sub-article 1, after addressing that when sharing this money, we should take into account national interests, provide for public debt, which is another issue, that if public debt is top on the list of things, we must take care of, we must be very careful and pay full attention to the public debt. At C, they say we take care of the needs of the national government. But if you look at D, E, and F, they all address devolution. We must ensure, in fact, the word in D is that they need to ensure that county governments are able to perform the functions allocated to them. That's the level, the kind of funding we need to give them. Then there is the requirement that we have to develop their fiscal capacity and efficiency. We have to go to look at their developmental and other needs. And when you go further down at I, we must work for the economic optimization of each county to provide incentives for each county to optimize its capacity to raise revenue. Now, revenue, on-source revenue is an area that's, again, heavily abused in counties. When you look at it, in my own county of Busia, and reports have even been made, but no action is taken, you'll find that you have got they talked of operationalizing or computerizing revenue collection. But when you look at it, it's just some fraud scheme that allows them to collect revenue that doesn't get reflected and go into the county revenue fund. Now, what's more important here right now, Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to look at sub-clause 2 of 203 on revenue allocation. It says, for every financial year, the equitable share of the revenues raised nationally that is allocated to county governments shall not be less than 15%. Now, that is a floor that has been set, but the revenue must ensure the upper things. The 15% is just a floor that has been set. It's not a requirement that 15% goes to counties. The requirement is that not less than 15%, but whatever goes to counties must achieve what is declared up there. Now, when you go to clause 3, I have a strong feeling that this clause has been totally misinterpreted. And it is here, if you look at the approved revenues, when I look at my iPad on the approved revenues, it is said in under the recommendations, recommendation B, the schedule to the bill be amended to reflect the following. B, Roman 2, the most recent account of revenue as approved by the National Assembly as at the financial year, which is 1,920,434,085,078 shillings for the financial year 2021-2022. What we know is that the Auditor General has submitted reports for the financial year 2023-2024. We are now in the financial year 2024-2025. The audit reports were submitted, and these figures should be based on the audit report of 2022-2023, not 2021-2024, for the following reasons. Although the clause 3 of 203, Article 203 of the Constitution says that the amount referred to in clause 2, that's the 15%, shall be calculated on the basis of the most recent audited accounts of revenue received, comma, as approved by the National Assembly. We should ask ourselves in that sentence, what is approved by the National Assembly? Is it the audit report that's approved by the National Assembly, or is it the accounts, the revenues that are approved by the National Assembly? And if you go to Article 229, clauses 7 and 8, where the report is considered, Mr. Speaker, clause 7 says, audit reports shall be submitted, to Parliament or the relevant county assembly, that is 7. Number 8 says, within 3 months after receiving an audit report, Parliament or county assembly shall debate and consider the report and take appropriate action. There is no provision in that section where the National Assembly approves, or this House approves, or county assemblies approve audit reports. Mr. Speaker, audit reports are complete and final. If you want to challenge them, you can only challenge them in court. An Auditor General is an independent office, and their reports cannot be approved by this House. So, the interpretation of 203, clause 3, to mean that the National Assembly approves audit reports is erroneous. And it has denied county assemblies, it has denied county governments a lot of revenue, because we are now using a revenue of 1 trillion when the last budget was about 3 trillion. We should be talking of 15% of 3 trillion, not of 1 trillion. And Article 203, sub-Article 3, should be understood that the approval by the National Assembly refers to the revenue, not to the audit. And for the revenues that are approved by the National Assembly, revenues are introduced in Article 221. Because in Article 220 we are told that budgets of national and county government shall disclose revenue estimates of revenue and estimates of expenditure for those governments. And those are then considered under Article 221. And that's why they are approved. So, basically what Article 203 is telling us is that the budget, an audit of the annual budget, we should implement the budget as has been audited. Because once the revenues are approved, they are put into the Appropriation Act as the budget and passed by the House. There is nowhere else where the National Assembly considers revenues. So to say that the National Assembly approves the report of the Auditor General is erroneous. Because, Mr. Speaker, when you go to Article 229, if you go to Article 2, when you go to Article 229, you find that the National Assembly is given 3 months, and even this House, 3 months, and even the County Assembly, 3 months within which not to approve, but to debate, consider, and take appropriate action on an audit report. Basically, we are told that we look at the report and within 3 months make sure that we accountability, those who have been adversely mentioned are held accountable. We help the county department, the county governments or the departments of the national government improve on their accounting systems. It does not in any way tell us that we should does not in any way tell us that we should be approving the report of the Auditor General. So, and even if you were to argue that the National Assembly is supposed to approve the report of the Auditor General before we can use them as a basis for calculating the 15% that goes to the county governments, then we must look at the, within Article 229, there's a very clear timeline of 3 months. The Auditor General is given 6 months from 1st of July to audit the books of government. Then he presents the report to us by 31st of December. Then we have 3 months as Parliament to consider the report and take action on it. Anything outside 3 months that are given in the Constitution is null and void. The National Assembly cannot claim that because it has not looked at the reports, it is sleeping on its job. It is now in 2021 that county government should also be waiting for the National Assembly to wake up. Recently, the High Court expressed itself on this provision in some case, and it said that you only have 3 months to look at the reports. So, why should county government suffer from lack of funds simply because the National Assembly is sleeping on the job? If the Auditor General has given them the report of the budget, the year 2023-2024, it gave that in December. 3 months ended on 31st of March. We should not be debating this report based on the accounts of 2021, which is 1 trillion. We should be debating this report based on the accounts of 2023-2024, which was about 3-point-something trillion. And that way, then we shall be fulfilling the need to ensure that county governments get 15% of their audited budget. So I'll be asking this House to consider, and the leadership of this House to consider revisiting that provision whereby they have misinterpreted Article 203, Clause 3, to mean that you have to wait for the auditor, for the National Assembly to do whatever it wants to do with the report of the Auditor General before it can apply on counties. And even if it was so, Mr. Speaker, we go back to Article 259, Clause 8. You ask yourself, how long would it have to take for that? Because that clause is said, even where the Constitution does not provide timelines, it must be done as quickly as possible. We cannot mortgage, we cannot delay the development in the counties simply because of that. So I'll be urging that we relook at that provision of the law, that we have allowed the National Assembly to suffocate development in the counties simply by being lazy and not being focused, not doing their work. Let us demand that every year the report of the Auditor General after 3 months is unassailable, and that's the one that we shall use to calculate the equitable share that goes to the county. The other thing, Mr. Speaker, sir, is I've got a problem with Section 2 of the Commission on Revenue Allocation Act, Cap 428. Their definition of revenue is totally unacceptable. It cannot override what is in the Constitution. The Constitution is very clear at Clause 2 of 203 that for every financial year, the equitable share of the revenue raised nationally, that is allocated by county governments shall not be less than 15%. Equitable share of revenue raised nationally. But when you go to Section 2 of the Commission on Revenue Allocation Act, that's CAP 428, it defines revenue this way. It says revenue means all taxes imposed by the national government under Article 209 of the Constitution and any other revenue, including investment income, that may be authorized by an act of parliament, but excludes revenues referred to under Articles 209(4) and 206(1)(a)(b) of the Constitution. That particular definition needs to be looked at. Nobody gave the National Assembly the power, and by the way, these acts were made when National Assembly, before the Senate was formed. These are acts that were made before 2013. And so the Senate was not represented at that time. Parliament constituted only of one house. And so the National Assembly had a free hand to do what it wanted. And here, it's excluding revenue that should be considered in the calculations of what should go to the counties. I would urge, Mr. Speaker, that the leadership of this House takes upon itself to look at Section 2 of the Commission on Revenue Allocation Act, CAP 428, and looks at whether it is acceptable to exclude that revenue in circumstances where the Constitution says all revenue raised. Because if we don't do that, Mr. Speaker, we are going to end up with situations whereby, irrespective of the corruption in the county governments, which needs to be dealt with by law enforcement and to be punished ruthlessly, when you look at the percentages of money that go to the county governments, we have not been able to unbundle enough money to follow the functions that have gone to the county governments. So other than just costing, which is important, costing the devolved functions, we need to also look at the legal framework that was put in place by the National Assembly before the Senate came into existence, to ensure that there is equity and there is adherence to the law within that legal framework. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, we shall continue giving county governments a raw deal in terms of equitable share. And so, in supporting this bill, Mr. Speaker, I reiterate that, if possible, this House, the Finance Committee, takes time and maybe gets proper legal assistance, and we have got very good lawyers in this place, to see how these laws can be amended or challenged to ensure that we use the latest audited accounts of the Auditor General. The question of approval by the National Assembly expires before the Auditor General comes in. The Auditor General, there's no room for approving a report of the Auditor General or rejecting it. We only implement it. I can see my time is up, Mr. Speaker, sir. I thank you for the opportunity. I support the bill with those qualifications that the committee seeks to anchor the current division of revenue on the accounts of 2023-2024, which have already been audited and which have taken more than 3 months since they were submitted in Parliament, and therefore the National Assembly has lost the capacity to do anything with them. They run as they do. And if it was even to do anything with them, it could only implement the report. It does not approve. It does not review. It does not do anything. It does not change a comma. It does not add a comma. It does not cross a T. It does not dot an I. The report is final. And that report should be used to determine the ratio of...
Senator Mutata, your time is up. Being an astute public interest litigant, I do propose that the proposals that you have made in your submissions can go into proposals that will guide the eminent legal minds towards asking even the House to seek for those proposals in amendments to the relevant law, so that we speak on one voice. And so don't leave it out to the only lawyers. You're one such honorary practitioner by virtue of the public litigation that you're doing. Senator Peris Tobiko.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me take this opportunity to add my voice on the Deviation of Revenue Bill 2025. Mr. Speaker, members have exhaustively addressed this bill, Mr. Speaker, and on the equitable share, Mr. Speaker, that has been allocated to the counties in the 2025-2026 financial year, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I do agree with Senator Omtata that there is an increment from the last time of around 387, I think, that was there last time, Mr. Speaker, and now the 405.1, Mr. Speaker. The nominal increase, Mr. Speaker, is appreciated, but we still have a long way to go. We still have a long way to go, Mr. Speaker, because although the Constitution prescribes that a minimum of 15% goes to our devolved units, it has never put, a capping that it must remain at 15%, Mr. Speaker. It can go higher, and it should go higher, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, why do I say this? Mr. Speaker, Kenyans would want to see the counties working. Kenyans would want to see our devolved units being viable, being attractive, delivering for Kenyans, so that we realize the benefits of the 2010 Constitution, Mr. Speaker. Because the spirit of the 2010 Constitution, Mr. Speaker, the bottom line was equity across the country. It was so that across Kenya we can experience development, we can experience service delivery, we can experience opportunities at the local level for Kenyans, be it at Turkana, so that a Kenyan who is in Turkana has opportunities to work at their counties, so as the same case applies to all other counties, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, for our counties to be able to deliver on those functions, on the very functions that have been prescribed by the Constitution, for our counties to be able to address health issues, deliver health services, do the facilities and equip them, and provide medical supplies, as well as pay the qualified personnel for these facilities, Mr. Speaker. Our counties do need a lot of these resources, much more than the 405 billion that has been allocated now. But yes, Mr. Speaker, we do accept and appreciate that we are moving, we are making steps every other time. We are increasing. We are progressing. Mr. Speaker, this gives us hope. But still, we are far from it, Mr. Speaker. Because when they say it should be 15% of the last audited accounts, Mr. Speaker, and they go ahead to say this is based on the 2020-2021 audited accounts, Mr. Speaker, then the whole thing is, there are question marks, Mr. Speaker. You query because the last audited accounts is 2023-2024. And sometimes, Mr. Speaker, I have asked myself, what happens with the 85% of the revenues that are left at the national level. What happens, Mr. Speaker? Because we are not seeing projects, major, mega projects being handled at the national level, Mr. Speaker. Right now, Mr. Speaker, the expressway, which ends up at Mlolongo, should have been extended by now, Mr. Speaker. Should have extended even beyond Kitengela, maybe reaching Isinya, Mr. Speaker, so that we sort out the gridlock at Kitengela. Mr. Speaker, we want to see mega projects like the SGR fully functional. The SGR cuts across a very big part of Kajiado County, Mr. Speaker, starting from where we border Senator Manzo at Emali, all the way from Emali, coming to Sultan Hamud, through to Kalembwani, Kiu, coming all the way to Mavoko. And even beyond, from now where we border Senator Manzo at Emali, all the way to Mombasa. But when you look at this SGR, it is not operating at full capacity. There were stations that were done along the railway line. Right now, they are white elephants because they are not functional. I should be taking the SGR at Stony Yadi or at Konza, go to Mombasa and alight at Konza and go to my home. But we see the stations, they are beautiful. I think right now they are occupied by lizards because they are not functional. So what am I trying to say, Mr. Speaker? Even the 85% that is left at national level, at the national level, should be accounted for. We should see projects. We should see projects that are benefiting Kenyans, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this country, even with our, our port, that we have a port and is used by neighboring countries, Mr. Speaker. I don't know if majority of Kenyans know that we don't even have a shipping line. We don't even have our own fleet of ship. Mr. Speaker, we don't, Mr. Speaker, neither do we have at our airports what we can pride ourselves in as a national airline, Mr. Speaker. KQ, which we pride ourselves with, is really not a national airline, Mr. Speaker. It's a private enterprise. Mr. Speaker, Kenyans would want to pride themselves like our neighboring countries. Ethiopia today has a fleet. Uganda has a number. And you wonder, a powerful economic bloc like Kenya does not, Mr. Speaker. And so even as we support the little that goes to our counties, Mr. Speaker, we must hold the national to account for the 85% that is left at the national level. Mr. Speaker, our counties have functions like agriculture. We must boost food productivity, Mr. Speaker. And how do we do that? If we do not support our counties with enough resources to be able to realize the full potential of our country in terms of agriculture. Livestock services, Mr. Speaker. Vaccinations of our animals. And extension services, Mr. Speaker, even for those who deal with crop farming, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, our roads is another big challenge at the counties, Mr. Speaker. With the classification of roads that's not very clear, we still have carer handling roads that are meant to be resources that are meant to go to our counties. for the smaller subsidiary roads, Mr. Speaker, which will help those going to the markets to have access to markets from their homes, from their chambers, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, water is a devolved service which counties are supposed to be providing. But Mr. Speaker, when we go to county visits, you find a big challenge. Find a big challenge because a lot of our counties are still not able to provide safe water to our constituents, Mr. Speaker. The sewerage facilities, Mr. Speaker, if I speak about Kajiado, because it's a county that I know most about, Mr. Speaker, although we have been able to visit many other counties, Mr. Speaker, Kitengela, a very big growing town, does not have a proper sewer system. Same as Rongai, Mr. Speaker. Same as Kiserian, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if we don't address a sewer system, then we are waiting for disaster in our towns, in our very populated towns. Mr. Speaker, you know, the biggest challenge in a county like Kajiado is that the population living in Kajiado is necessarily not, the locals of Kajiado. All Kenyans, including yourself, Mr. Speaker, and many others, have their homes in Rongai, in Kiserian, in Ngong, in Kitengela. Kajiado has become the bedroom of Nairobi. And because of that, Mr. Speaker, our urban centers need proper planning. Our urban centers need sewer systems. Our urban centers need proper garbage management if we must live dignified lives, Mr. Speaker. And we need access, proper link roads to Nairobi, so that even if you stay in Ngong, you'll be able to make it to your workplace in Nairobi in good time and go back to you and have time in the evening with your children, Mr. Speaker. But as it is now, majority of Kenyans who live in those areas spend so much time on the road. From Galleria, going from Bomas, Galleria, going towards Masai Lodge, Rongai, Mr. Speaker, it's a gridlock. Towards Kitengela, it's a gridlock. Towards Ngong, it's a gridlock, Mr. Speaker. So what are we asking, Mr. Speaker? These resources should be accounted for. Our counties should get enough allocated to them so that we ease the living standards of Kenyans, Mr. Speaker, so that we can live in a country that we know has made leaps in terms of development, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, Mr. Speaker, sorry, our market facilities, when it rains, you will not want to get into the market to buy anything from those markets because the situation is not hygienic. You will really not want to buy tomatoes and potatoes from those markets, Mr. Speaker. Yet, we should be living clean. We should be providing enough resources for our counties. Mr. Speaker, let me mention this early enough, that even as we support our counties to get these resources, Mr. Speaker, the governors must account. The governors must be able to account not only for the equitable share, but they must also account for own source revenue that they are collecting every day from our markets, from the businesses, Mr. Speaker. They must be able to streamline on issues of licenses, Mr. Speaker, so that they are not killing the local economies and the small mamambogas and the riders, Mr. Speaker, who really are operating from hand to mouth, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I would call upon the committees of this House, particularly PAC, CPIC, and those oversight committees, that we must be able to rein on to the counties. Each governor must be able to account to what goes into his county, Mr. Speaker, so that, Mr. Speaker, Kenyans realize the benefits of devolution, Mr. Speaker, because it is very important that devolution works, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have been seeing UHC workers every day, daily demonstrating outside this House, Mr. Speaker. And now you wonder, where do they belong? The counties are not owning them, the national government is not owning them, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this House should rise to the occasion and address that issue, because the issue of health is under our docket, Mr. Speaker, in terms of oversight, and we must come out to help those Kenyans, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I support this bill, Mr. Speaker, and really urge that we fast track in terms of the last audited accounts, so that we are depending on the 2023-2024 accounts instead of 2020-2021. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Paris. Senator Manso, you can address the House from the dispatch.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, since devolution started, I have debated this bill every year. First, it used to start at the National Assembly, and I have seen this time around it is signed by the chairperson in charge of Liaison, the Honorable Gladys Boss. And after the National Assembly debates it, then it comes to the Senate. But in one way or another, the decision has already been made at the National Assembly, and when it comes here, is a debate whereby we may not change a lot. A lot of times, we have tried to change or increase the revenues or the monies going to the county, and a lot of times it is difficult. If you look at the current Division of Revenue Bill of 2024-2025, and under this particular one, which you do this year, the next year, you realize when the last year one, money was actually reduced. And what we were bargaining for last year is what now has been awarded, 4 or 5 billion for the counties. Mr. Speaker, devolution is in our constitution. It's a sure tool to develop the counties. It's the best way one can get to the grassroots. And our biggest role here, Mr. Speaker, is to support devolution as a Senate and make sure that devolution works. Mr. Speaker, there are national functions, as Honorable Paris Tobiko, my neighbor, said. There are national functions and county functions. If you look at the national functions, there are things we should really invest in. Kenyans waste a lot of time on the road accidents. And by now, Mr. Speaker, we should be having a dual carriage to Mombasa. At some point, the Americans were to do it, and they negotiated a very good deal. And we also expect a dual carriage to Western Kenya, so that goods and services can move very fast from our port to the ports in Lake Victoria and to Uganda and other countries which are served by our ports in Mombasa, and also the proposed corridor through Isiolo, even the airport in Isiolo, which has become, a white elephant, Mr. Speaker, bearing in mind that the construction ended up in in some problem, and we never got value for money in terms of the airport in Isiolo. So, Mr. Speaker, when you look at the national functions vis-a-vis the counties, they are intertwined. And it is very important, Mr. Speaker, that we develop the country and all the taxes we collect from Kenyans, Mr. Speaker, goes into good use. And Kenyans will be more than happy to pay taxes but see the job be done. I doubt whether you will find any protest when the job is being done as it's supposed to be. So, Mr. Speaker, when you look at the totality of the monies of the national government, and just like recently my committee was in Arusha, Mr. Speaker, and we wasted about 2 hours at Kitengela, and now I wish that we could have a bypass there or even an expressway. For those who are not going into Kitengela town, could easily connect to these roads which comes all the way from South Africa to, from Cape Town to Egypt, to Cairo. You will imagine somebody traveling that way, and when they get to Kenya, you are stuck in the traffic, you are held up there, services and goods held up there, a stream of lorries, and therefore we need to see these monies get into good use. Mr. Speaker, when you come to the counties, the feeder roads are done by the county governments. And the county governments, the monies have been delayed. In Makueni and all other counties, monies have delayed for, Mr. Speaker, for 2-3 months. And every time you delay, the cost of the delay is very high for all the counties and for the government at large. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, this is something, as a Senate, we should look at and make sure that there's enough pressure to make sure that monies reach the counties at the good time, so that when it comes to salaries, they are paid on time, and the counties don't have to result into borrowing from commercial banks, like Cooperative Bank, who has been kind enough to help a lot of counties across the country. And then, that means the county and the people of Kenya are losing some money into traders. When you look at the railway network on the part of the national government, and even on the part of serving and interconnecting the counties, Mr. Speaker, you should have a network which serves the city. A lot of people will leave their cars at home, and therefore the traffic jams will reduce. And a network which goes into many parts of the country, the railway gauge, just went from Nairobi to Mombasa, and there's an effort to get to Kisumu, which has delayed. And therefore, part of what messed up this was exorbitant prices of the land which was purchased. Yet this land should have been allocated from beginning as part of the railway schedule. And therefore, there was no need to go back to the public to buy land from them. Then when we make this division of revenue bill, we have not taken into consideration of the Auditor General's report, because they have delayed in years, and how better it would have been for us when we make division of revenue bill to have the report of Auditor General ready, and even the report of Commissioner of Revenue Allocation, which a lot of times raises a lot of questions, because some counties feel that they have been denied money unjustifiably. Mr. Speaker, there is an issue of national functions and county functions. Health is devolved, Mr. Speaker. We shouldn't be seeing these UHCs coming to Parliament almost every day. We should have put them under permanent and pensionable terms. Those who remain in national government do so. Those who be devolved go and find their money with their respective governors. That I don't think has been done very well. When we do the budgets for the counties and for the national government, it should be clear the devolved function and functions, money must follow functions. So if health is devolved, let's have the national government dealing with the policy, and the government dealing with the real issues, hospitals, medication, efficiently at the grassroots. Agriculture is devolved, but a lot of things, including the fertilizers, herbicides, are still being handled at the national government. And the role of the county government or COGs is minimal. And therefore, there is a need to fully implement devolution. Issue of markets. We saw that the national government is the one doing the markets, which is the work of county governments. That money should have been in this division of revenue bill, should have gone to the counties, and the national government would have coordinated the construction. After all, it's the county government which approves the structures, participates in monitoring to make sure they are good, and finally gives approval of occupation. So when you don't devolve those markets, you don't devolve housing generally, most of the land where the housing project is being done, which we are paying for daily, and we hope that the deserving people get these houses, and that because we have already paid for them, they should be affordable truly. But the sort of monies you are talking about is that it's like we have not subsidized the prices of those houses. There has been questions, even there was a big debate this morning on television, Citizen Television, on what has happened and how these consultants are very unhappy with the consultation fee, and therefore they have done a poor job. And it's up to each county to make sure that their buildings are sound, the contractors do a good job, and that they can eventually give a certificate of occupation, and that we will not see the situation we saw in Mombasa. A house being brought down, having killed somebody, and the developer who was not monitored properly by both the national government and the county government. Mr. Speaker, ends up, having to use county money, because I'm sure the county of Mombasa is going to be sued. And we are going to lose money we have given them through the division of revenue bill to carelessness and negligence, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, the whole building will be has to be accounted for, and the people who died there, houses which cracked around, that becomes an unnecessary expenditure because somebody did not do their job right. And this is what we are saying, that must be prudent use of our money. This division revenue bill contains our debts. We borrow money. We have a lot of corruption in the country. The structures to fight corruption are not devolved, and a lot of time the fight against corruption has become political instead of actual. Therefore, you end up having people intimidated in pretense that the corruption is being fought. And therefore, there is every need to make sure national level we have serious fight against corruption, ethics followed. When we advertise tenders in both county and national government, it's like a determined tender, Mr. Speaker. It's like that tender, even if it is been published in the newspapers, the person who is going to do the tender is known. And that's how we end up with a job which is not well done by the contractors for failure to monitor by the counties and the national government. Mr. Speaker, the Treasury and the bank, the central bank, Mr. Speaker, you saw a report saying that there was low absorption of money in the counties. But what is the practice? Money goes to central bank. We have allocated to a county. The people need roads. They need water, which is devolved. We have major projects like a Vision 2030. In the case of Makueni, we have the Konza City, which we expected by now would be employing a lot of young people. We have Thwake Dam, which has never been completed, got stuck only with 6% to go. Farmers will be doing a lot of irrigation right now and raising, money for themselves and their families. But when that is not well done by Treasury, and then you give an excuse that the monies which have gone to the county is hitting the accounts now when you are doing the closing the year, then the counties haven't worked. then you blame the Senate and the governors. You say we are not monitoring them properly, yet Treasury and Central Bank delayed the money. And then give so many conditions so that by the time you make the money operational, time is up, and the same money is sent back for the allocation for the next year. So you have delay and delay and delay, and then you blame the counties. Let the monies get to the counties in good time. And I believe the counties and the governors will work, and we also do our work to make sure that we check the counties properly, and we make sure that everything is done as it should be. So, Mr. Speaker, there has been those challenges, administrative challenges. Yes, you have passed this bill. Yes, there are monies at the national level. Yes, there are monies for the counties. But this money never gets to the counties in good time. And the condition given at Central Bank are such that you end up not doing anything in the counties. Not for the making of the county government, not for the making of the national government, not for the making of the Senate. And therefore, it is important, Mr. Speaker, that the Senate really now, through this division of revenue bill, does the necessary monitoring and the necessary summoning of the relevant institutions to come and explain why the delays, yet Kenyans are paid taxes. Why will you waste time at the Treasury? Why will the Central Bank hold these monies and not release them in good time to the governors, making it difficult for everybody in the country? If governance was very efficient, Mr. Speaker, we will not have these delays, we will not have these challenges. We really want to have responsible permanent secretaries, responsible CSS, responsible directorates, and especially in Treasury, that's where even ministries have to go and beg and get taken around in circles by technocrats. And finally, projects like Thwake doesn't take off. Many other projects in the country. Recently, I went to Nyeri and realized the dual current to Nyeri town got stuck somewhere. For the last 2 years, very little activity has been happening. We just don't want dual carriages, Mr. Speaker. Just go to Nyeri. We want dual carriages going to different parts of the country, Mr. Speaker, so that there is easy movement of goods and services. It should not only be in certain regions. We want the northern corridor opened up, Mr. Speaker. We went to Turkana County, and I must thank the leadership of Senate for this. It opened up our eyes. We did the committees there. We went to Lake Turkana, realized that the fish, which gives the thread, which is used to operate, or no people go through surgery in the world, come from Lake Turkana, in Turkana County. And that fish is so important. And you can imagine how rare that fish is and how rare that commodity is. Mr. Speaker, and we are the ones supply the whole world. You can imagine how many operations go on everywhere in the world. And that's a big resource in Turkana. That corridor, security should be provided. That is the place which should be like Mombasa. Instead of people going to the coast, people should also be going to big hotels along that important lake, fishing going on there, and making the communities there, live well, just like many other communities in the country. And this is where, devolution is important. We have to actualize it. But when the division of revenue bill is the way it is, when will we ever develop such a county with so much resources for the country? That is where oil has been discovered. That's where a lot of underground water has been discovered, which can be used for irrigation. They have wonderful soils. They have wonderful people. How do we open up the northern Kenya to have cities and to have big trading centers? Because the people there are very hardworking and access credit and then be assisted by the county governments. For example, Mr. Speaker, we have a cooperative movement. We have cooperatives which should be implemented by the counties. We have a new act now here we are debating, which is even in the list today, as one of the businesses of the House to strengthen the cooperative movement, Mr. Speaker, so that people can generate their money, Mr. Speaker. People can generate income, and people can then, after generating income, pay taxes, and the country can proudly sit down and make a better budget than we have today. But what do we have, Mr. Speaker? We have lower collection of taxes. We have lower collection from the counties, Mr. Speaker. The money is not in circulation, Mr. Speaker. Some businessmen, some individuals are holding this money for their own benefits. It's not in circulation. And small businesses have died in the counties, in the markets. People used to thrive. Goods used to move faster. But the common Kenyan does not have a purchase power, Mr. Speaker. The youth are not gainfully employed, Mr. Speaker. The youth, now, Mr. Speaker, you see them in Nairobi every Sunday afternoon or Saturday afternoon, doing some wonderful jigs, which they send into social media, and they are able to send them around, and through that they earn a living. That space, Mr. Speaker, should be expanded so that even in the counties people can generate income. Mr. Speaker, unless we export, our coffee, our tea, our mangoes, our oranges, which come from the counties, and there are no proper structures there to make sure that these exports go very well. There are brokers who are frustrated coffee farmers and tea farmers. Mr. Speaker, if we export, that's the time we get a good exchange rate with the rest of the world. And Mr. Speaker, we are importing more than we are expecting. So in conclusion, Mr. Speaker, the engine of commerce in the country is this division of revenue bill. We have now come here to share very little. We should be sharing much better if the people of the country get an opportunity to work, generate income, pay taxes, and do business in the country, so that all can benefit and Kenya can prosper. I thank you, Mr. Speaker. I support.
Thank you, Senator Manzo. Honorable members, we don't seem to have any other member interested in contributing to this particular motion, and in the circumstances, therefore, we shall defer putting of the question, noting that the